G'day everyone, welcome back to Nat's Knackers Yard. I'll be Nat, this will be my Knackers Yard. Some noisy bugger chopping wood up in the background. So where are we? What did I do last night? I had a few beers, fell asleep in front of the telly. I also did some shopping. I have to admit I have conceded defeat slightly. That is just getting nowhere, so I've ordered a new one. I've ordered a new one. I wanted to check how bad they were, and I found one for 30 quid, and I did a bit of mental arithmetic and thought, with all the money that I'm going to spend buying a new piston, buying new seals, etc, and then repainting it and scraping all that off, and time and effort, etc, I found a decent one for 30 quid, and I'll bang up a little picture actually. So I did leave that overnight. It has got better. You can see some movement, some motion, but it's just not fucking playing. I also don't trust the hoses because I think there's a slight leak around the edge. So you know, hopefully the actual cylinder itself, the master cylinder, is okay. Failing that, I have scoped some rebuild kits. There's nothing mechanically, there's nothing physically wrong with it. There's no cracks, no holes, etc. But it might need some new elements within it. What I've also done is, having tested the starter relay, I've sorted out the little bits of wiring on that just to get it all good. I've also scrubbed it down, got rid of the rust and painted it, and it's drying in the kitchen at the moment. That's not cosmetic, that's just to help it survive. I mean, it's survived this long. Let's give it a bit of hand to survive further. Now what I am going to do now is, I'll give you an example, but I'm not going to make you watch everything. Now, I've kind of avoided doing this because I don't think anybody really likes bike electrics, but old bike electrics is just a pain in the ass. Now, I'm just going to follow cables, work out where they go. So that's back light. I don't really need to know too much about it, but I do know that's back light. So this is a fairly inconsequential one, but just a really obvious sign of a bike that's generally old and is slightly tagged together is, you know, the twisted wire approach. So what I'm going to do, I mean, this is not anything to do with the current fault, because it's just a light. But what I plan to do is go through the lot, scrape them clean, and replace any twisted connections like we've got there with the shrink wraps. Now these are brilliant, and particularly those that are short on power in their garages. It is literally a sleeve with some solder already in it. Now my soldering is crap, always has been, probably always will be. Might get better, but essentially these are the simplest thing in the world. It's wire in and heat till that melts. Now what you can do to help, apologies if you can, that chainsaw is very loud. What you can do to help is just nip it, get the wires in, get them connected, get them crossed over, nip that and then heat it. Now I've got my electric blower, but I do have the privilege of power in my garage. You can do it just as well with a light or with one of those little like butane torch thingies. So I'm literally just going to tag my way through anywhere that I can see, you know, handily highlighted cabodgery, highlit bodgery. You know, I've got going into a plug and then bastardize out the back. Tape. that have just been there for waterproofing as much as anything else. You know, that could quite easily be, you know, a dodgy connection, whereas it's just a plug onto a cable. I think I'm just going to get rid of the plug and just try and eliminate faults, potential faults as I go. Now I'm deliberately leaving the battery disconnected throughout all of this, not because I'm scared of sparking myself or anything like that, but what I don't really want to do is to find, well, I do want to find the fault, but I don't want to find it and stop and then not do the rest. I want to work my way through the whole lot. It's part of the reason I've not really been looking forward to doing this, because it is fucking slow and boring, frankly, to do. But it is necessary, and yeah, I think, you know, there's all sorts of bits and pieces where, you know, they could probably just do with a decent clean out. So, you know, a bit of brake cleaner in there, clean them out, a bit of a scrubby brush in my pocket, ready to go. A bit of a scrubby brush, one nylon, yeah, toothbrush type thing, one metal brush, and just go around and clean the lot. A little bit of oil, a little bit of elbow grease, and see where we end up. So I'm going to start at the arse. Always a good technique. Start at the arse, just follow the cabling through. Whenever I find anything dodgy, like, you know, tape, you can't see what I'm doing there, like tape, loose tape, replace it, unplug all the connectors, give them a quick sluice out. I don't think I've got any contact cleaner, but I do have carb cleaner, so much the same, and just give everything a sluice and see how we work out. And if I find bits like this where, you know, I can't quite see the point of that, I'm just going to find, you know, similar gauge wiring and replace like for like, because that is, you know, well, that's probably the cause of all the problem in the first place, because that's really greased up in there. It's a dodgy connection at the best of times. And then just see how we get on. But I do want to work my way through the lot, which is going to be long and slow, probably. But we'll see. We'll see how we get on. Right, I'll drag you back in probably much later. Right, with the noise of my boys mowing the back lawn, it's kind of slave labour, child labour. Yeah. I've got to earn their keep somehow. Solenoid's back in. I've done some tidying up. Principally, I think that one, which was the main issue. Had a bit of a route around the fuse box. I've noticed I've got a tang that's dodgy. So there you go. You can just hear it. I get and I lose a connection. I can't quite tell where that click's coming from, but if I give it a bit of a squeeze. Now bearing in mind I've got no carbs on here, I've got no coils on here, but if I push the button, I did have it, you bastard. You're making me look stupid. Now, I don't want to be pushing anything because I've got nothing fucking lined up, nothing set up, nothing at the moment, but I've got a dodgy connection on that fuse. Now the simplest way to get around that dodgy connection is just to replace the fuse box, which is what I am going to do. I've done it before on a previous bike, to put the blades in rather than the glasses, because the glasses are just, they can rattle backwards and forwards. It's just not a good solution. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I need to buy a fuse box, but more importantly, I so desperately want to get everything on it to see whether or not I can actually coax a start. Yeah, right, coils first. Right, so that's the coils mounted. I'm not convinced they work. I was going to try and test for spark, but I've got such a dodgy connection there, and eventually that's broken off. I've tried just jamming stuff in and it just burns through. No, I'm slightly confused. Sorry, that's not attached. I think that's the main, according to the diagram, and I can't work out what the others are for. Where's the fuse box? Yeah, so that looks like it says main next to the main cable. Yeah, can't quite make out what the others are trying to say. Let's resume. Main DL signal turn, maybe? But it's just... I think what, as a temporary measure, I've got a inline piece. I can't remember what that was from. I'm just going to graft it in, I think, because I don't trust those glass ones. I can use blades, and I've got shed loads of those. See if I can get that going. So, looking at the wiring diagram, 12, hang on, still got that in my mouth. 12 is a fuse box, ka-chink. 13, 14, 15, 16, 13 being the, show how much you can see, let's get you in a bit more, there we go. 13 main fuse, yep, I agree with that. Then it goes headlight, signal, ignition, so it's the ignition fuse that is dodgy connections. Let's see if it's the dodgy connections that's making it burn out, or whether there's something more, dare I say it, sinister. Right, it's as ugly as sin, but power on, button, I get a turnover. Now if I leave it on too long I get a horrendous rattle, listen. I think that cam chain is slipping like a bastard. I'm going to see if I can work out how to tighten that off. I think that's an automatic down there though. Didn't near. Let me have a look. Right, I've had a couple of cranks on the old cam chain tightener. Now I don't think that's the original. I have read somewhere that the 750 was manual, but the 650 was automatic, and the book says, yeah, don't fuck with it because it looks like this and you can't adjust it. So I'm assuming that's been changed at some point. I've had a quick look at spark. I think I've got spark on 3, but it's quite weak, so I've just chucked the battery on charge. But what I might try, just for the shits and the giggles, is to see if I can coax any life out of it. A little bit of starter. Oh, we have noise. Bit clunky. I'll do up that cam chain tensioner again. Don't want to snap it. Right, see if I can get some. Let's see if I can get some what? See if I can get the carbs on, shall we? To do that, I'm going to have to do the fucking handlebars because that throttle cable's not going to be long enough. Let's do the handlebars. Right, fuck it, let's give it a go, shall we? Now, these are vacuum fed carbs, so they're probably going to piss. Well, in fact, they have, but that's because the pipe came off. I just want to see if it works. Oh, that's the old fuel, your bell end. That's the fuel that the kids had used in the mowing the lawn. Right, let's try this fucking in, shall we? Fucking hell. So it's running on 3. Which is more than I thought. Scorchio, Scorchio, no Scorchio, Scorchio. I'm just going to let that run for a little while. It's burning off several years worth of shite. But it makes a noise, which can only be a good thing. Let's see if I can get it to do it again. I have progress. Obviously it's going to run like hammered shit because there's no air restriction on it at all. I haven't bothered putting the boots back on yet because I expect the carb to come back off at least once, and that is a proper bitch to do. Well, that'll do me. I think we have something that works. I'm really worried about that starter. What do you think it is, people? I've had the starter motor off and run it straight off a battery when I was first fucking around with stuff. I don't think it's that. I think it's where it's actually joining onto the engine. Obviously when it's running it doesn't run that, so it's fine, but that can't be healthy. I think there's a chewed cog somewhere, but I've never done this before, I don't know. I've certainly never dug that deep into an engine, so that might be fun to see. But yeah, the big old bastard actually makes a noise. Happy. And it may well have just been that electrical issue. Now I am going to hunt around. You can get like the The little blade ones, I've seen them, I've used them before on, oops, sorry, what did I use it before on? I can't remember. A very early project, when I moved the fuse box as well. I don't think I need to on this one, but just need to do something because that's hokey. I mean, it works, but it's hokey. Yeah, cool, happy. Carb seems to have settled down. It didn't like being on its side. It doesn't like being vacuum. It doesn't like being gravity fed. This doesn't surprise me. I've got no concerns with that. Once it got running, it settled down. So I think maybe when I've got it on a vacuum, it might be good. Now, because of that, I might want to just give it a go on the tank. So I might chuck some vinegar into the tank and then see how we get on. Right, that's my shopping being delivered. So that'll do me for another one. Cheers all. I'll catch you later. Ta-ra.